COPD is harder on the folks around you, I think. My wife smoked, and she quit because she needs to be here to take care of me.
The people you love are worth quitting for. You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
The long-lasting scent of Gain Flings made it smell like Dave was in his happy place, the massage chair at the mall. But he wasn't. Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Next week, E.T.'s kicking off season 43.
Hi, E.T.
Backstage at the VMAs, Matthew McConaughey's surprise and Kristen Cavallari's love life.
Why do you think I'm so single?
Starting Monday on E.T.
Now, there's one last thing we want to show you before we go.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Hey!
Told you to take that jacket off.
You'd have to kill me to get this jacket off.
Austin Butler's going from Elvis.
Happening now.
The suspect who is accused of shooting and injuring a San Antonio police officer. We take a look at his criminal history and we'll tell you how the court has handled his multiple offenses and probation violations.
September is Suicide Prevention Month, and up next we hear from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs on how the veteran community is still being greatly impacted by suicide. We'll also be learning more about the VA's ongoing campaign to save lives.
More record-challenging heat, then a change in our weather pattern. I'll be back to tell you what that means for rain chances and temperatures in just a bit. News at 5 starts right now.
And we start with a new ruling on those controversial orange floating barriers in the Rio Grande. A federal judge ruling just a few hours ago that those buoys were placed there in the water illegally without needed federal permission.
Now Texas has until next Friday to move the 1,000-foot floating barrier from the waterway and reposition them to the Texas river bank. The scathing ruling criticizing Governor Greg Abbott, saying he needed federal permission before impeding traffic in the waters. Mexico's president also objecting to those buoys, demanding they be removed.
Abbott installed the floating barrier near Eagle Pass in June, saying Texas has the right to protect its borders from an invasion of undocumented migrants.
In response to today's ruling, a statement issued by the Texas governor's office that emphasizes the state's intent to appeal this decision. It reads in part, quote, "This ruling is incorrect and will be overturned on appeal. We will continue to utilize every strategy to secure the border, including deploying Texas National Guard soldiers and Department of Public Safety troopers and installing strategic barriers." End quote.
The other big story today, a man accused of shooting a San Antonio police officer on the city's southwest side yesterday has a long list of probation and parole violations and criminal charges, including a charge for choking a family member.
In fact, our check of Bexar County records show he has been in and out of trouble nearly every year for the last decade. He's spent just a little more than a year in state prisons and substance abuse treatment centers. Camelia Juarez shows us why, despite this criminal record, Dominic Rubio was still on the streets and is accused of shooting an officer trying to serve his latest warrant.
He's a repeat violent offender with a history of family violence dismissals, no jail time.
More than 20 mugshots of 29-year-old Dominic Rubio from 2012 to now. Bexar County court records show he has 5 domestic violence charges and 6 drug-related charges, many of them dismissed, plus repeated violations of parole. Records show Rubio has only been convicted 3 times for felony retaliation, misdemeanor, and felony drug possession. According to Bexar County court records, in August, a judge was in the process of trying to bring Rubio back to jail for violating his probation multiple times. A warrant was released for violation of court order.
There was a motion to revoke his probation on the 3rd of August. But he's still out. As I said, the defendant is a habitual offender.
Before police could find Rubio, he was named a suspect in an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon last week. An arrest warrant says Rubio pointed a shotgun at his common-law mother-in-law in front of several children. When the victim and children tried to get away in a car, Rubio allegedly stabbed the tires with scissors.
Despite being a habitual offender where he should have been in jail for 25 years plus, he's still on the street.
San Antonio police came in contact with Rubio yesterday when an officer spotted him on Iroquois Street on the city's southwest side. When an officer approached him, preliminary reports say Rubio displayed a sawed-off shotgun and shot an officer in the arm and torso. Police say Rubio eventually surrendered.
Let's see what happens to him now. But this is a danger to public safety, having folks like this on the street.
He's charged with attempted capital murder of a police officer, violation of a protective order, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Rubio is currently remanded without bond, meaning he'll stay in jail while awaiting trial. San Antonio Police Chief William McManus says Rubio is not the only repeat offender on the streets.
And this isn't a one-off. There's plenty of other cases out there like this. Inevitably, when we have a high-profile violent felony, we'll run the guy's name, and inevitably he'll come back with a number of dismissals, a number of rearrests while he's still on probation.
The shooting Tuesday brings the total number of SAPD officers shot to 5 in the last 12 days. Additionally, one officer shot himself while pursuing an armed suspect. Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
Of course, we'll continue to follow that case. New information on the Labor Day deadly shooting of a suspect by San Antonio police. The name of the suspect that was killed and the officers involved have been released. San Antonio police say 2 officers followed 27-year-old Jacob String to the 100 block of Prestwick near South Cross Monday evening. According to the department, String was wanted on 4 active aggravated robbery warrants. Those officers, Officer Juan Dominguez and Officer Matthew Roster, tried to arrest String. Police say String got out of his car and pulled a gun and pointed it at the officers. The officers responded by pulling their own weapons, shooting and killing String. Investigators say String did not fire his weapon. Again, they do say he pointed it at officers. The shooting on Prestwick marked the 5th shooting in 12 days, according to involving SAPD officers, where police were engaging or were confronted by suspects wanted for warrants or out on bond.
And that brings up so many questions. KSAT working to get some answers. Both the DA and the police chief have spoken up about the problems of dangerous criminals still on the street, but they're blaming each other.
Yeah, the mayor actually talked about it yesterday. Meantime, the Bexar County judge staying tight-lipped on this subject. RJ Marquez at the courthouse today waited for hours to speak to Judge Peter Sakai. It didn't happen. RJ, what did the judge tell you?
Yeah, like you said, Steve, did not tell us anything directly. And again, a very unfortunately frustrating day for us here at the Bexar County Courthouse for our crew. We got here at 10:30 this morning for Commissioner's Court, and in hopes of speaking with Judge Sakai about these ongoing issues. You guys have mentioned the wave of police officer involved shootings with convicted felons, just the district attorney's office, what they're doing to address all of these issues, and also how to keep these offenders off the streets. And again, the judge just not speaking to us at all today. We asked him repeatedly for an interview, and he just did not want to do it. So we waited until Commissioner's Court wrapped up closer to 3 o'clock this afternoon and asked one last time to speak to Judge Sakai, and we're just told that it was not going to happen today. And as you mentioned, this comes after Mayor Ron Nirenberg told us yesterday that he's actually had conversations with the judge to make sure they're doing what they can to address the wave of police officer involved shootings. We wanted to know what were some of those details of those conversations and even what plans there were for any possible solutions when it comes to the courts and the DA's office. So after hours here at Commissioner's Court, Judge Sakai's spokesperson finally gave us a short interview on camera where he confirmed that, yes, the judge did in fact talk to the mayor about the issue, but didn't want to share anything else. His spokesperson said that he was not aware if the judge had spoke directly to District Attorney Joe Gonzalez about these issues or whether the judge has any authority over the DA's office in this case. So we were told that there will be a series of community meetings, community conversations, if you will, later this month at 4 different sites where the judge will be present and is expected to take comments or questions from people in the audience or any of the public there. But for now, again, guys, very frustrating here, waited for hours, but the judge not addressing any of this stuff to us or at least any of these issues, ongoing issues publicly. Reporting from the Bexar County Courthouse, RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, RJ. We will keep asking those questions. A man and a woman kidnapped from their own home right in front of their children, and still they are nowhere to be found. That's what SAPD says happened early this morning on the southwest side in a neighborhood. Officers called out to the 3100 block of Mission Bell, not too far from Palo Alto Road. Detectives say the man and the woman, both in their late 30s, were taken against their will. They say the suspects entered the home. They were focused on taking those parents out.
Suspects kicked down the door, entered the home, and took the two adults and fled the scene.
Police tell us 5 children, all under the age of 17, inside the home at the time. They were not hurt. Police say their hope is to find those parents and bring them back home safely.
Meantime, coronavirus cases continuing to rise in our area. Today, Metro Health releasing its current number of reported cases. And right now they're reporting 2,656 cases as well as 1 death. These are all new cases.
Yeah, and with cases expected to rise here, even more than that, nationwide and worldwide, vaccine maker Moderna says its updated COVID shot should protect against the highly mutated new BA.286 variant. Company officials say so far test results show its updated vaccine generates a, quote, strong immune response, unquote, against the new variant that has public health experts on alert. As of now, there have only been a few dozen cases of the variant globally. Updated shots for the XBB.1.5 variant that is also circulating, expected to be approved by the FDA within a week before CDC vaccine advisors are scheduled to meet. In this Suicide Prevention Month, there is probably no group more impacted at the moment than our veterans. And the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs trying to reach veterans who are struggling as we speak.
The statistics show why, with a troubling rise in veterans committing suicide. Jonathan Cota with how the VA is trying to take mental health wellness from the back lines to front and center.
With the rate of suicide among veterans on the rise, Dr. Matthew Miller, Executive Director of Suicide Prevention for the VA, says it's critical to spread the word that suicide is preventable.
No better time than now to talk about the importance of reaching out, asking for help, and us providing solid resources for veterans.
Outside of diagnoses and disorders, Miller says day-to-day life like relationships, financial pressures, and occupational concerns can sometimes be too much for some.
It's important to know then veterans can reach out when they're experiencing these very common issues. They don't need to be embarrassed. They don't need to be ashamed. And they're not going to take resources from other veterans by reaching out.
The VA has launched a new PSA for their ongoing campaign, Don't Wait, Reach Out, where vets who feel they are struggling are encouraged to visit the comprehensive website, va.gov/reach.
So what you'll see when you go there is that the content is organized based on emotions and feelings. You know, if I'm feeling isolated, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling depressed, or circumstances, you know, issues with jobs, transitions, relationships, divorce, housing.
Once you click on an emotion or circumstance, you're connected with education, information, and direct access to resources available through the VA.
There's navigation by feelings and situation, not by diagnosis or disorder. I think that's meaningful to veterans.
Reporting front and center, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
And looking outside today, a record-breaking day. 102, the high temperature, which ties, actually, the record for the day today, set back in 1908. Now, that makes it our 70th 100-degree day so far this year. And let me tell you, we're going to keep piling them on over the next few days. 98 Eagle Pass, Floresville, 100 even. 100 Bulverde and Bernie, 102 right now in New Braunfels. And you look at our temperature trend going forward, more record-challenging heat. 103 tomorrow. 104 on Friday, Saturday 103, and even on Sunday 101, all 4 of those days. Record tying or record breaking. Notice that little drop in temperatures comes with this chance of rain. We're going to talk about that in just a bit.
Thank you, Adam. Let's check out traffic right now, and let's go to I-35 at Loop 1604. A lot of construction out here as they build those huge overpasses that are going to happen here. Again, this is I-35 at Loop 1604, just one of the many areas where you see those cranes getting ready to construct a new roadway around our community.
An ear infection is more than just a little illness. It can have lifelong effects on your child's hearing. Next, how artificial intelligence is being used to diagnose it now, taking the guesswork out of the healing.
Here's a look at what we're working on for the news at 6. After we started making calls, a developer pulled its application for a housing project in Schertz. Came up at 6 why neighbors are concerned about how they say that developer tried to gain their support. And the Broadway Corridor Bond project, scheduled to be completed sometime next year, but KSAT Investigates uncovered a rather large speed bump along the way. A dispute between First Presbyterian Church and the city of San Antonio led to the city tearing out portions of a protected bike lane along North Alamo Street. It was already built. They tore it out. Internal records obtained by KSAT show a parishioner of that church pushed for the work to be redone, even going as far as giving the city a deadline to complete it. San Antonio officials in recent weeks have pushed back on that assertion.
We were very much in charge of the project. We were committed to the voters of the bond project that there would be a protected bike lane.
KSAT Investigates and takes you inside this bike lane back and forth. All that and more today on the news at 6. Almost every parent has wrestled with it, but once ear infections take hold of your child, they're not only expensive to treat, they can damage your child's hearing.
And what's worse, the traditional tools that are used to diagnose them are outdated. But there's some new software that uses artificial intelligence to spot these infections better.
5 out of 6 kids will develop painful ear infections by their 3rd birthday. Eustachian tubes connecting the ear to the back of the nose are underdeveloped, requiring artificial drainage tubes.
That basically are ventilating the middle ear space. So you create a hole in the eardrum, you place a tube in that's keeping that hole open, and that allows us to ventilate the middle ear and remove any fluid that might be behind the eardrum.
And that's not to say ear infections aren't painful. In fact, they are, and can cause hearing loss and speech delays. Otoscopes have been in use for decades, but lack proper lighting and clear field of view. So Dr. Moberly is turning to creating artificial intelligence to record and analyze eardrum videos.
This software then takes that, creates a composite image, but then also provides some feedback back to the clinician and says, this is a 90% chance that this is a normal looking ear, or this is a 75% chance that there is fluid behind the eardrum.
The AI algorithm will use deep learning to identify and classify middle ear disease with greater accuracy. And this could prevent long-term hearing loss and improve speech and language development.
Drag that into this box and it will create a composite.
Dr. Moberly also cautioning against buying an otoscope online and then trying to diagnose these infections all on your own through phone apps. Given the potential for long-term effects, he recommends you do see a doctor first.
We take a live look outside now. 101 degrees, it says on the screen. We are setting records. But is there a light at the end of this furnace-like tunnel?
Yes, there is. There is a light at the end, and we know cooler air is on the way eventually. It's a slow process typically in September. But as I showed you earlier, temperatures will be dropping with a shift in our weather pattern as we get into next week. Don't expect a huge temperature drop, just a little tease. More importantly, rain chances return with that pattern shift. We're starting to gain confidence in those rain chances. Take a look at the odds. It's going to be sunny and dry the next few days all the way through Saturday, but then a 20% chance Sunday and Monday, up to 30% Tuesday and Wednesday. Here's the caveat. We do think we'll be raising the rain chances one of these days, Tuesday or Wednesday. It's just so far away. We need to get a clearer picture. We need more information. And of course, there's a lot of time between now and then, meteorologically speaking, so we'll keep you updated. But at least we're gaining confidence in this pattern shift and the potential for at least some rain across not just our area, but other parts of Texas where we need the rain. Upper level high still in control. It's centered over southern New Mexico at the moment. A few isolated showers have popped up in parts of North Texas. That's about it. But here's the key, and we've been talking about this for a few days. The upper level high shifts westward. It's over northwestern Mexico and even the Baja Peninsula by the middle of next week. So it really loses its firm grip on our weather pattern. We have this northwesterly flow aloft. That opens the door for some energy and even a few very weak cold fronts to move into town. I stress weak because, like I said before, don't expect huge temperature changes, just little modifications. Right now we're at 100. Dew point is 63, so it feels like 2 degrees warmer than the air temperature. Castroville, 103. Kerrville, Bandera 99, New Braunfels 102, and Canyon Lake now at 96. Del Rio currently 101. As we go through the evening, temperatures gradually falling through the 90s and 80s, and we'll start the day tomorrow right near 80 degrees at 7 a.m. A lot of sunshine, 103 for the high temperature, which would be another record, and a southeasterly wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Not a whole lot of wind or much of a breeze tomorrow. 100 in Bulverde tomorrow, Floresville, Pleasanton 103, and Sabinal you'll top out at 101. Looking ahead, we have these record-breaking days, record-challenging days, I should say, tying or breaking all the way through Sunday. And then we see that little shift in our weather pattern, and notice mid-90s, which could drop even more once we fine-tune those rain chances.
All right, thank you, Adam. Coming up in sports, the Cowboys with some injury concerns, and the Rangers trying to hang on to the playoffs.
We'll be right back.
Football coverage brought to you by Davis Law Firm.
The Dallas Cowboys will kick off the regular season Sunday night at the New York Giants. Always a great way for them to start off their season. But left guard Tyler Smith may not be able to play. He strained a hamstring Monday during practice and had to leave early. That's not the type of news the boys wanted heading into the regular season. Here's Coach McCarthy today talking about Tyler's injury.
Definitely. I mean, there's thresholds. Once they cross, they play. So that doesn't change. I just think that, every injury is a little different. The injury to the individual is always different. Tyler's specific case, he hasn't had this injury before. So, this is, part of that experience. We have an excellent system in place, and Britt will get his hands on him today, and we'll see where he is.
Coach is talking about Britt Brown, who supervises the Cowboys medical rehab program, and he's dealing with injuries right now. Sam Williams has a toe injury. Safety Donovan Wilson is coming back from a calf injury, and corner Jordan Lewis is rehabbing a foot injury. Texas Rangers rookie third baseman Josh Young is hoping to take dry swings before the end of the week, per the Dallas Morning News. Young suffered a fractured left thumb back on August 6th when he took a 109-mile-per-hour line drive off of his glove in the Rangers' 6-0 win versus the Marlins. Young has been taking some one-handed swings in the batting cage and fielding some grounders on Monday. He's at least a couple weeks away from game action and will likely need some rehab at-bats. Josh recently talked with MLB TV, and he was asked what positives can he take away from his timeout.
Well, one thing, my legs should be fresh when I come back. I guess that's probably the most baseball I've ever played up to that point. So I should have some fresh legs. But I mean, you learn a lot about your teammates when you're able to just sit there and watch and see how they go out and perform. Because when you're on the field with them, you might not see everything that kind of goes on. Because when you're in your routine, you don't really see them going through theirs. So it's kind of cool to sit back and watch all these guys go through their routines and just see how they attack the day.
The Rangers were 66-46 when he got hurt, and they've gone 10-16 without him, and they've dropped from first to third in the AL West. The Rangers are hosting the Astros tonight at 7:05. We'll be right back after the break.
Taking a live look outside with TransGuide 281 at Nakoma. Regular traffic here during this hour.
Yeah, look how brown forget the 100-degree temperatures. We could use some rain. Look how brown that median is.
So sad.
It is very sad. See you at 6.
Have patience.